Hello. So, welcome back. So, did you enjoy your break? Okay, so we really had a good break. So, just let me quickly recap what you have learned today in the 2 sessions that took place. Yes, in the first session, you learned about simple sentences and based on functions, how sentences can be grouped into different categories, right? You learned about interrogative sentence, you learned about imperative sentence, you learned about declarative sentence, you learned about exclamatory sentence, positive and negative sentence, right? And then we also learned about phrase as a unit or as a separate unit, and that helps in formation of a sentence. So, and in the second session, Gideon Stargila discussed with you compound sentence. He also recapitulated what you learned yesterday. So, before I start my lesson, I just want you to quickly go through all the things. Just start forming in your mind, right? All the things that you have learned today, right from the very first session. I'm just giving you some time to think about, or you can just note down, right? What are the things that you learned today? Right? I just give you 2-3 minutes to quickly go through it. Okay? Okay. And when you are thinking, just keep in mind types of sentence based on structure and types of sentence based on function. So that will help you think like in a easier way. So types of sentence, okay, based on structure and based on function. So types of sentences based on structure, you have learned about simple and compound. Though you have heard about simple, compound, complex and compound complex, but you have learned only 2, right? Simple sentences and compound sentences. And for the types of sentences based on function, you have learned about declarative, interrogative, affirmative, negative, and exclamatory, right? So, okay, is it too much for today? I hope it's not overwhelming for you. So, for this session, okay, the third session of today's lesson, today's third session and my second session for the day, so we will discuss about, or we will learn about another type of sentence based on the structure, and that is called complex sentence. Okay, so I'll just quickly help you with some slides. Okay, okay, so that is something that I just want you to quickly review. That is something we learned in our previous session, right? What is a sentence? A group of words that expresses a complete thought. Please remember, a complete thought. Okay, sentence is a group of words, no doubt, but then you need to remember it expresses a complete thought. It starts with a capital letter in written form, right? When in spoken form you cannot identify where the period or the full stop is, but then we cannot identify whether you are beginning with a capital letter or not, but in the written form it must begin with a capital letter and ends with a period, a full stop. So in spoken form also we can identify because there's a pause there. It can end with a question mark or exclamation mark. And each word in a sentence has its place and function. We cannot group the words in a sentence in a random order, right? There is a specific place, right? And sentences are made of phrases and clauses. So you have learned about phrases. Okay, how many phrases do you remember from the first session? Can you think of the different types of phrases? Yes? Okay, noun phrase. Yes, there's noun phrase, there's verb phrase, adjective phrase, prepositional phrase, adverb phrase, I think I missed telling you in my first session. So I'll quickly give an example of an adverb phrase. So actually I gave you example of noun phrase, adjective phrase, prepositional phrase, gerund phrase, infinitive phrase as well. But I think I just forgot to show you the slide or the example of adverb phrase. So let me quickly help you get the idea. Adverb phrase. The why. This one. Okay, I'll use. The virus is spreading quickly. Okay. So the virus is spreading quickly. Okay. The virus is spreading quickly. I have underlined spreading quickly. This is the phrase, spreading quickly. And this one shows the manner. And you all know the function of adverb, isn't it? I had already told you about the different parts of speech, and adverb is one of them, isn't it? So it shows the manner. So the virus is spreading quickly, and this is modifying this, quickly, spreading quickly. So this is an adverb phrase. Okay? So while I was sitting there and listening to Gideon's Thagla's session, I just remember quickly brushing up through the slides. So I just found that I missed this part, adverb phrase, and that's why I'm just telling you in this session. Okay? So the virus is spreading quickly is an example of an adverb phrase because this is functioning as an adverb in the sentence. Is it clear now? All right. So sentences are made of phrases and clauses. So you have learned about the different phrases. Phrases are like a group of words, okay, that are related and they function as a unit, but they cannot stand alone as a sentence. They only help in the formation of the sentence. Okay. Okay. And we also talked about clause, but we didn't learn about what actually a clause is. But in the second session, Gedin Thargila told you about the types of clause, independent and dependent clause. Do you remember that? Because in the first session, I discussed with you only about the phrases, the different types of phrases with example, and I told you that you will learn about clause in the later sessions. So in the second session, when you learned about compound sentence, so you got an idea about what a clause is. Okay, so I will quickly go through the clause again. Okay, look at the slide. Clause, a part of a sentence that contains a subject and a verb. So what you need to remember is a clause is a part of a sentence. Okay, it means this is there in a sentence. It's a part of a sentence that contains a subject and a verb. By now, I assume all of you know what a subject is and what a verb is, isn't it? So a part of a sentence that contains a subject and a verb is called clause. A clause can be independent, which is called main clause, or principal clause. So it's like different names by which we can call, right? Independent, main, or principal, they're same. Okay. A clause can be independent or dependent. The name itself suggests independent means you're free, isn't it? So dependent means you are depending on something. So dependent or subordinate. So the clause are broadly divided into two, that is independent clause and dependent clause. So in the second session, Gedin Sargila told you about what an independent clause is and a dependent clause is. So it's important for you to understand what a clause is and dependent and independent clause. Otherwise, you won't be able to frame a complex sentence, okay, or compound sentence or compound complex sentence, because these sentences are formed using such clauses, okay, independent, dependent, depending on what type of sentence it is. Is it clear? Okay. Okay, look at the slide. An independent clause is a group of related words that contains a subject and a verb and makes sense by itself. Okay, this statement is quite clear. Okay, so an independent clause is a group of related words. So that is a part of a sentence, okay, that contains a subject and a verb, and they can function, okay. The independent clause can function as a separate sentence, okay, because it makes a sense by itself. It does not have to depend on some other group of words. So independent clause. For example, we wear masks in order to prevent the spread of the virus. So I've highlighted we wear masks in blue color. Okay. So in this sentence, we wear masks in order to prevent the spread of the virus. So the clause, we wear mask, this is an independent clause because it makes sense. We wear mask. Okay. This clause makes sense. This is independent. Okay. In order to prevent the spread of the virus, now that is another clause. Okay, dependent. So right now we are focusing on the independent clause. So I have highlighted the independent clause in blue color. We wear mask in order to in order to prevent the spread of virus. Sorry. And the second example, the little girl was named Thumbelina. Do you remember the story we read yesterday? Yes, Thumbelina story. And the first example is from the session I took for the students of class 7 and 8, right? COVID-19 and all, right? So the little girl was named Thumbelina because she was as little as a thumb. So the independent clause in this sentence is, the little girl was named Thumbelina. So though this is a clause, this is a part of this sentence, but it can stand alone. It makes sense by itself. The little girl was named Thumbelina. If we put a period after this, this is a complete sentence. But in this sentence, this group of words is functioning as a clause, a part of the sentence. It has a subject and verb. Can you see that? The little girl, okay, was named Thumbelina. So you can see the subject and verb. So this is a clause which is independent. Clear? You want to look at the sentence again, you take your time. Then meanwhile, I'll show you the next sentence. As we are same human beings, we must respect each other. Okay? As we are same human beings, we must respect each other. Now, the second part of the sentence, we must respect each other. Okay? So, I have deliberately written or taken this example because you might in a way feel like or think, because some students may think that, oh, independent clause has to come like at the beginning of a sentence. That's not necessarily the case, okay? So in the third sentence, so first and second sentence, I have used independent clause at the beginning of the sentence. But in the third sentence, as we are same human beings, we must respect each other. So we must respect each other is the independent clause here and does not necessarily come at the beginning of sentence. So we can just change the manner in which the sentence is written as well. We must respect each other as we are all human beings. In that case, we are using the main clause or the independent clause at the beginning of sentence. So I hope you got it clear. So you want to look at the sentences once again? Please do. Okay. We wear masks in order to prevent the spread of the virus. Please note, we wear masks is the independent clause. The little girl was named Thumbelina because she was as little as a thumb. Again here, the little girl was named Thumbelina. This is the independent clause. Okay? In the third sentence, as we are same human beings, we must respect each other. So we must respect each other is the independent clause here. So these sentences will roughly give you an idea about what an independence clause is. okay, how it looks like. All right. Then moving on to the next slide on dependent clause. A dependent clause is a group of related words, because now you know what a clause is, right? It's a group of related words that contains a subject and a verb. But the only difference is here it does not make sense by itself like the independent clause. So no wonder a dependent clause is a group of related words. It has a subject, it has a verb, but the only difference is it does not make sense by itself. A dependent clause is a group of related words that contains a subject and a verb but does not make sense by itself. Okay, so examples. In order to prevent the spread of the virus. Okay, now this is group of words and you can see undoubtedly they are all related, isn't it? In order to prevent the spread of the virus. But do you think this conveys something? Is it complete? No. In order to prevent the spread of the virus, you feel like there's something missing. We want to say something else, isn't it? In order to prevent, what should we do? Okay, so this is a clause, but it is not independent. It is a dependent clause. Next example, because she was as little as a thumb. You remember the previous sentence, right? The lady named her Thumbelina because she was as little as a thumb. So here, because she was as little as a thumb, then what? What happened? Okay, so it's incomplete. It does not make any sense. Okay, there's something missing. So this is a dependent clause. Okay, this is an example of a dependent clause. Then the third example, when things become normal. Okay, when things become normal. So again, I just want you to think about subject-verb agreement. I have written here, when things become. In case if it's thing instead of things, the verb become will change into becomes. When thing becomes normal, because the subject is singular, then verb will be singular. So here I have chosen a plural subject, when things. So the verb is plural, when things become normal. So I'm repeatedly stressing on subject-verb agreement because this is something I really want students to work on and improve. Okay? When things become normal, then what? What is going to happen when things become normal? Okay, will the schools open, schools and colleges open? Will you be able to go to your schools and meet your old friends and teachers, meet your classmates? You're very excited. Many of you might be waiting for schools to open, but at the like looking at the present situation, because things are not normal. Okay, so when things become normal, so you're expecting something. What is going to happen? Okay, so this is a dependent clause. Okay, and now we have one more example. If you read books, so students of class 8, I think 7, 8, you might have learned about if clause. Okay, students of class 8, I think, because now it's the beginning of session. I don't know, but just assume if you haven't learned, okay, it's okay. If clause, like if you read books, then what? Okay, it's not. It doesn't make sense, right? If you read books, it's not a complete thing. Like independent clause. So this is a dependent clause. If you read books, okay, what is going to happen? Okay, like we say, if you work hard, you'll do. Okay, like this. So if you do this, you will get this, or like that. So this is if clause. This is a dependent clause because this is not complete. If you read books, it's a group of related words. They are all related, no doubt, right? But it does not make sense. Okay, if you read books, there's something missing. So this is an example of a dependent clause. Okay. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. So this slide is something you have seen in the first session when I told you about the different types of sentences based on structure, right? Simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. So we learned about the first 2 sentences already, right? Simple sentences, and you have learned about compound sentences in the second session. And this is the third session, and you will learn about complex sentence. Okay, so you might be wondering, so why is ma'am not coming to the point? Okay, I'm not beating about the bush, right? So because in order to understand complex sentence, it is very important that you first understand independent clause and dependent clause. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand complex sentence and you won't be able to frame a sentence that is complex. Is it clear? Okay, now I assume you all have understood the two types of clause, independent and dependent. Am I right? Did you all understand or do you want me to repeat? Okay, I guess many of you have got it, right? So independent clause is a group of related words having subject and verb that makes sense in itself, okay? Whereas dependent clause, again this group of related words has a subject and a verb but does not make sense. Okay, so it's a dependent. Now that you know what an independent clause is, what a dependent clause is, now we'll look at what a complex sentence looks like. Okay? Okay, look at the slide. Complex sentence. Okay? A sentence that consists of at least one independent and one dependent clause. There can be more than one, right? But at least one independent clause should be there. At least one dependent clause should be there. So you have to keep that in mind whenever you think about complex sentence. Okay? One independent clause and one dependent clause. Is it clear? Read the sentence again. A complex sentence is a sentence that consists of at least, I'm saying at least, that means it can have more than one. Okay? At least means minimum, right? You have to have one independent and one dependent clause. So at least one independent and one dependent clause. Does it make sense? All right. Now look at the examples. When the lady saw Thumbelina, she felt happy. You might be wondering, I'm like so keen to give such examples because I'm just trying to relate with the things that you have seen yesterday, the things that you have read yesterday and learned. So I felt it would be easier for you to connect what you are learning today with what you have learned yesterday. I'm only trying to form the connection and make it easier for you. Do you understand that? Okay, very good. So when the lady saw Thumbelina, she felt happy. So you can see two clauses in the sentence. When the lady saw Thumbelina, she felt happy. Okay, now are you able to identify which one is independent clause and which one is dependent clause? Are you able to do that? No wonder you see two clauses, right, in this sentence. One is independent and one is dependent. But which one is independent, which one is dependent? Okay, yes, many of you are getting it right, I guess. So, when the lady saw Thumbelina is the dependent clause, okay, because something is missing. It's not making complete sense. She felt happy. So, she felt happy is a clause that is like complete in itself, okay? And let me tell you, this is again an example of a simple sentence, right? She felt happy. The subject she, the verb is there, felt, okay? She felt happy. And this is an independent clause. So I just want you to remember that an independent clause can work as a sentence, complete sentence, and that's a simple sentence. So a simple sentence, like the one I discussed in the first session, a simple sentence having a subject and a verb. So a simple sentence must have an independent clause. So this is one example. So the sentence here, a complex sentence, you can see there's a dependent clause, there's an independent clause, and the independent clause in itself is a sentence. Which type of sentence? Right, simple sentence. Okay, so let's look at another example. Because she was as little as a thumb, she named her Thumbelina. She means, I mean to say the lady, okay? Because she was as little as a thumb, she named her Thumbelina. Again, what do you find here in this sentence? Two types of clause. dependent and independent. And by now, I am sure all of you know it, right? Very well. Which one is dependent and which one is independent? Yes, the first part is dependent. Because she was as little as a thumb, she named her Thumbelina. She named her Thumbelina makes a complete sense, right? This is no doubt a clause, and this is an example of a simple sentence. She named her Thumbelina. So independent clause. So I hope you are getting it right. I am trying to connect the things, right? Complex, what you are learning now, right? It's a type of complex sentence. I'm trying to connect complex sentence to what you learned just before. Clauses, right? Independent and dependent clause. Again, to what you learned about in the first session, simple sentence. Okay, so I'm just trying to connect things. Okay, a sort of wiring is happening in your brain. Okay, so independent clause, dependent clause. So I'm just repeating this so that you can remember. Okay. Next example. Although the schools are closed, our students are still learning. Okay. Although the schools are closed, our students are still learning. Again, what do you say? Two clauses. Dependent and independent. Okay. Although the schools are closed, is it dependent or independent? Yes? Right. This is dependent. Our students are still learning. Okay. This is independent. Our students are still learning. It's because it makes sense in itself. Okay. Although the schools are closed, this is an example of a dependent clause. So this is an example of a complex sentence. Okay. Now, I just want you to quickly read the three sentences. Okay, right from the beginning. So what a complex sentence looks like, you can note it down or just read or go through it before I move on to the next part. Yes, a complex sentence that consists of at least one independent and one dependent clause. Okay, so keep that in mind. Complex, independent and dependent, right? Two different clauses. Okay. Examples, when the lady saw Thumbelina, she felt happy. Okay. Because she was as little as a thumb, she named her Thumbelina. Although the schools are closed, our students are still learning. Okay. Now, I also want to tell you one thing. Here, you might have noticed that all the sentences I have written here forms a kind of similar pattern. Dependent clause at the beginning and then independent clause following that. And so I have used a comma, the punctuation mark comma. But in case, if I just change the way the sentence is written, okay, she felt happy when the lady, or the lady felt happy when she saw Thumbelina, then we will not use comma, okay. The lady felt happy when she saw Thumbelina. So there's no need of using a comma. Okay, please keep that in mind also. That is also an important thing you need to remember. All right, now we'll move on to the next part. I hope you have quickly gone through the three examples. Very good. Now, I want you to look at the board. Okay. So, the types of sentence, the complex sentence based on structure. So, what a complex sentence is, depending on the structure we have already covered, right? Structurally, when you see or when you look at a complex sentence, you will find there is a dependent clause and an independent clause at the least. Okay, we can have two or more, right? Even more than one, but like the minimum thing that should that a complex sentence should have is at least one dependent and one independent clause. Okay, so this part is done. Now I'm looking at the function. Okay, types of sentence based on function. So in the previous session, in my first session, I gave you some example of sentences based on function. So I'm looking at the functional aspect of sentences. So let's read the first sentence. Okay, so it's hidden there, so but I hope you can just read. Tibet was a free country. Okay, this is country. Tibet was a free country before the Chinese invaded Tibet. Okay, Tibet was a free country before the Chinese invaded Tibet. Okay, so if you just look at the structure of this sentence. Tibet was a free country before the Chinese invaded Tibet. So, yes, put on your thinking hats. Start thinking. What type of sentence is this? Am I hearing someone say complex sentence? Very good. So, Tibet was a free country before the Chinese invaded Tibet. Okay, this is a complex sentence. So, if you look at the structure, okay, Tibet was a free country. This is a complex sentence because we have the independent clause here. Tibet was a free country. And then we have the dependent clause here. Before the Chinese invaded Tibet. So no doubt this is an example of a complex sentence. And if you look at the function, this is functioning like a statement, okay, a declarative sentence. So, this is functioning like a declarative sentence, and no wonder this is a, yes, okay, a complex sentence, right? Declarative complex sentence. Okay, is it clear to you how this sentence is a complex? Because this is, you have a dependent clause and an independent clause in the sentence. Okay, and this is a declarative sentence because it's declaring something, it's making a statement. Then look at the second. Okay, this is a question that I just want to ask you, okay, not just as an example. As a teacher, I just want to ask you, do you read books when you are free? I mean to say, when you have free time, do you read books? Be honest. I know many of you love reading books. Please read books, okay? So, do you read books when you are free? Okay. Do you think this is a complex sentence or a simple sentence? Yes? Okay, yes, you got it right. This is a complex sentence. Why? Do you read books? It's a complete sentence, isn't it? A clause that is independent. Do you read books? And then we have another set of clause. When you are free. Okay, that is a dependent clause. When you are free, what do you do? Okay, so it's not complete. So, do you read books when you are free? So, that is no doubt a complex sentence. But then what do you see? At the end of the sentence, do you find a period, a full stop, or question mark, right? So, this is again an example of interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentence, and no wonder this is a complex sentence too, right? Complex interrogative sentence. I hope you are not getting confused. Okay, so try to break this, okay, and then you try to form a link, then it becomes easier, okay. The third example, okay. Please switch off the light when you go out. Okay, this happens regularly in your class. Your class teacher or the subject teacher or the class monitor tells you when you go out during your recess time, please don't forget to switch off the light. Please don't forget to switch off the fan, because it's waste of energy, isn't it? We have a huge responsibility. So we need to conserve energy, isn't it? So do remember that, okay? So when you go out or when you don't have work at home, you don't need it, so please don't forget to switch off the light. So please switch off the light when you go out. That's a request. Or you can just command, switch off the light when you go out. Okay, again this is affirmative sentence. Okay, please switch off the light when you go out. This is an example of affirmative sentence. So based on structure or function? Function. Okay. Now if you look at the structure, what do you think this sentence looks like? A simple, a compound, or a complex? Yes? Please switch off the light. We can break this sentence. Please switch off the light. A clause that is independent in itself, isn't it? Please switch off the light. Even if we don't use this part, it's okay. It's a complete sentence. We only have to put a full stop or a period here. Please switch off the light. Independent clause. Now the next part of the sentence, when you go out. Okay, and this is an example of a dependent clause. Please switch off the light when you go out. And together this makes a complex sentence. So we go here. Again, a complex sentence. Now let's look at the next example. We were not ready when the COVID-19 outbreak happened, isn't it? Were we ready? Did we that we would be in such situation? The schools will be closed and there's a lockdown and you have to stay in your home. We never thought that, right? So we were not ready when the COVID-19 outbreak happened. Okay. So if you remember in my first session, I told you about this word, not. It shows something that is negative, right? We were not ready when the COVID-19 outbreak happened. So, no doubt this is a negative sentence. Okay. It's a negative sentence. And how can we convert this into a positive sentence? It's very easy, isn't it? Yes? We just have to remove this not, right? We were ready when the COVID-19 outbreak. We were all ready with masks and hand sanitizer and everything. Okay? We just have to remove this not and then the sentence becomes positive. Okay? We were ready when the COVID-19 outbreak happened. Okay? And then finally the tricky one here. I don't like when someone shouts at me. I don't like when someone shouts at me. It's annoying, sometimes you say, isn't it? So it's a strong expression, a strong feeling you are showing. I don't like when someone shouts at me. So therefore, you have an exclamation mark, the punctuation mark, exclamation here. And this suggests this is an example of exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentence. Okay, so now we know the function of this sentence. Now if you look at the structure, what does this sentence, how does this sentence look like? I don't like whenever someone shouts at me. Okay. I don't like. It's a clause. Now you decide which clause. Okay. And then whenever or when, right? Someone shouts at me. So there are two clauses in this sentence. You just identify which one is which clause. I don't like is an independent clause. Whenever someone shouts at me is a dependent clause. And so together they make what type of sentence? Right, They make complex sentence. Okay, so these are all examples of complex sentences. The only difference is the way they function. So all these are structurally, I'm just telling you, structurally these all sentences are same, but functionally they are different. Declarative, the statement, interrogative, affirmative, negative, exclamatory. So functionally they are different, but structurally they are all same. They are all complex sentences. Okay, so I hope it was not overwhelming. So it was not too much for one session. So just before the fourth session is taken by Gideon Thargela on compound complex sentence, I just want you to quickly brush up what you have learned in this session. Forget about the first session and the second session. Okay, I told you to think about that in the beginning of this session. Now, at the end of the session, I want you to quickly remember or try to introspect or try to just visualize or think about all the things that you learned in this particular session, right from the beginning. In this particular session, yes. You quickly revised sentences, okay? And you revised like the different types of sentences, and you learned about clause, what a clause is. You learned about the two types of clause, independent and dependent clause. And you also learned about the other name we can call an independent clause as, yes, what is the other name? Main clause or principal clause. Okay, and the second clause, dependent clause, the other name is subordinate clause. Okay, and then after learning the types of clauses, I also gave you examples of independent clauses and dependent clauses. After that, you learned about what a complex sentence is. Okay, and then how a complex sentence looks like. A complex sentence should have at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. Okay, and then we try to look at how a sentence can function, like, okay, the functional aspect of a sentence other than the structural aspect. Okay, based on function, how a sentence can be different, though it may have the same structure. Because this is very important. I also want to tell you that when you are writing a paragraph or something, a piece of composition, please remember to make use of the different types of sentences, okay? Not just simple sentences, because it gets very boring when you write only simple sentences. Okay, try to make use of the different types of sentence in your piece of writing. Okay, so I will hand over to Gideon Thargela. He is just eagerly waiting for his next session to start. So thank you very much for bearing with me, and I hope you understood at least something and what I wanted you to understand. Okay, so see you next week. Thank you.